Hey everyone, it's Harmon from Misfit Adventure, and we're going to go into the how-to videos for creating Turmoil Trolls Challenge Mode, the game titled Challenged in RPG Maker MZ. Alright, just as a quick run over of Turmoil Trolls as a 2d10 system, and this is a character sheet. For this game, we have taken the base assets of RPG Maker intentionally so that you can have something to follow along with. We'll keep updating it as we go, and every episode we make, we will have the how to make it yourself. So whether or not you're following along from the sample game that we've already provided, or you're just booting up RPG Maker MZ for the first time and want to follow along, these videos are for just that, for how you create your own game. We decided that for viewers, fans, and students, that it would be best to just go ahead and use the base assets, regardless of, maybe how the game quality could be perceived. But don't worry about that. This is about you getting your adventure out and doing Turmoil of Trolls' most difficult setting. So, in our challenge mode, we're always going to start with 1-1, and level really doesn't matter. Level becomes relevant if you want to increase your skills later. So we're going to start with the base character Reed, who's always the default in RPG Maker MZ. We're going to make him a human, because, well, he is. And then we're going to give him a default settings. Now, for those who might not know what Turmoil of Trolls is, there is a link in the description for pointing to where you can find the game and find more information about Turmoil of Trolls as a system. But in the 2d10 system, there are roll bonuses to the 5 skills we assign. As a human character, Reed gets a +1 anywhere they desire to. But normally you do a +2, +1, 0, -1, -2 spread amongst these 5 skills. In this case, we have Reed at a +2 athletics and a normally +1 strength, but we've given him that +1 here. Interpersonal, since we've set Reed as a silent protagonist, he is going to be at a -2. Magic is a -1, and mechanical, we've just decided not to give a bonus. And then we're going to keep the default RPG Maker MZ equipment that he has. And then Reed won't start the game challenged with any spells. Alright, let's go pull up RPG Maker and get into it. Okay, so challenged is supposed to be a take on what would happen if you uploaded an RPG Maker MZ game for the first time, which is why we see the scene start literally from when you open it. I would just like to, for those new to RPG Maker MZ, or might just be following along, just keep in mind that we're on the event tab right now. There's the map tab. Obviously, there's nothing here by design. So we're going to focus on this setting right here for the event. Now, this screen doesn't look like much, but we're going to get into everything. But the first thing we need to make sure we do is set up our game. So let's go into the database, which if you are new to RPG Maker, it is right here. Okay. For actors, we have just set Reed. We have changed his class, and we'll get to that in a second. But otherwise, Reed starts out with no weapon. Let's just change that to, I don't know. I see what we have here. We'll set to a stone flail or something else. Don't really worry too much about this as we go. And then we've kept all these default characters right now. And then we've added in one called intro, which you'll see is completely blank. To add a new character, just go down to change maximum and then hit the increase button. In our case, we're going to leave it for now. We might add in more later. We have intro as a starting character just so that we don't have to worry about coding certain things in our starting scenes. And that way, if we have pictures or any new additions as the game updates, we'll have it so that, we can just show that without risking of turning character transparency on and off. All right, so we set Reed and Elliot here as human characters. All right, let's go into the classes and figure out what that means. Okay, so we can see the default, which we've left up just so you can see. This would be for a typical RPG Maker system. But in challenge mode, combat is really discouraged because it comes with a lot of risk. you can't get stabbed with only one hit point here and just shrug it off. And it's kind of our take on the game. So as a human, we've just decided to go ahead and set out the curve. So as we can see, it stays very flat. You don't even see a line at all. That's because we hit this generate curve button and then set it to 1 and 1 all the way up through level 1 through level 99. And we did the same thing for MP. We could zero all these out. We haven't bothered because that's not going to be the point of the system as we develop this game. Now, as you saw me kind of flailing around earlier, that's because we haven't given the human class setting any weapons to do. So let's let him have a sword in addition. And we'll hit apply. And real quick, let's go back. And now we can give Reed the short sword he had as a swordsman character would. Okay. That's really it for now. Just know that as you come in or have ideas and you need to equip different things, make sure you go back to classes, set it to the human, and look up the traits to make sure that this character can equip the things you want them to equip. All right. Skills we've left alone, but items are now the next thing. So we leave all the default items right now, and then we change the maximum from 30 to 50 for right now. And then as you can see at line 32, we have a TOT item section. The Firestone will become relevant too, but just see that we've done it. We've set it as a key item and not consumable. Same kind of goes for weapons. It starts off with a base of 50. We've changed that to 100 just so that we can add any special weapons we might want coded as we go through the adventure. Armors, again, we hit the change maximum and set it to 150. 100 is the typical default. Now, enemies, this is important. RPG Maker starts off with these base 5 enemies. But we have gone ahead and added the first fight we've had if you've watched the video, and that's Albert. We just set everything to 1. But again, we're going to get into the finer points of it. So the good news is that to make challenge mode happen, you don't really need to worry about these things like you would in some other RPG Maker versions of Turmoil Trolls. So this leads us into troops. For troops, again, we changed maximum to right now add Alberts in. We are going to get into this in later videos, as we can see as we cover the events and everything else necessary. But just know that this is all going to be discussed. But for now, just make sure you have Albert and have conditions at turn 0 turned on. So as I once again click in this, conditions, turn 0, 0. Okay. We've left states and animations alone as well as tile sets because, again, the whole point is to have the base assets, so you shouldn't be designing art or having to worry about anything being encrypted as you go. Okay. This leads us to common events, which is important, but I think we're just going to go ahead and save that for the next video for the sake of time. All right. So join us on the next video as we cover the common events that are really necessary to get this game mode out and about. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Happy gaming.